be a house.
It's Sunday, June 29th, and you're here for the Patriot Project. We got your 6 to 6. We're currently listening to Patriot Radio, produced with the partnership of Rees Across America Radio, with the mission to remember the fallen, honor those who have served, and to teach the future generations the value of freedom created by the men and women who have served our country. Currently playing on Patriot Radio, Don Ritz, Painkiller.
Make me forget. Just be my painkiller, one night heart healer. Give me whatever you got that can make this hurt go away. Tonight you can be the one to kiss my lips and leave me numb. Whisper in my ear.
Left, your left, hey. Left, right, your left. You got it.
Trucker. Dockers, roll out. You're watching or listening to We Got Your 6 and 6 Patriot Playtime. We the people, the People's Patriot Project.
For a place to put your skill set, your thoughts, and ideas, or want to help continue the mission, you have come to the right place. We are the People's Patriot Project, and we are the shock and awe when it comes to meeting the needs of our veterans and first responders. We are dealing with a new enemy in today's world where the wounds are not always seen. We want you to be a part of this mission in saving lives and making a difference. Welcome to We Got Your 6 at 6 Patriot Playtime. Here's the We P3 team bringing you today's best heroes hits in the boots on the ground organizations that are saving lives. And as always, Patriot Pride.
Left, your left, hey. Left, right, your left. You got it.
Trucker.
Surprise, it's me, Jonathan Crochet, here with the People's Patriot Project. And
with Jonathan Crochet,
we are bringing, we got to get that one too now. We are bringing you our weekly show, which will later become a podcast called We Got Your Six at Six. Every week we bring a guest and many times a new artist, and we share all the good and sometimes the not so good things that are happening in our world. This week, we're hosting some amazing discussions with our guest, Robert Heckler and Jeff Canada. Our sponsors for tonight's episode include Green Hills Contracting. This is a veteran-owned and operated contracting company out of Moberly, Missouri. Thank you, Timothy Newton. And we have Catch 22 as well with Mr. Derek Iozio out in Alabama. Operation Texas Strong with Peggy and Bobby Krutzinger over in Texas. And the Boho Hobos Hideaway with Lauren Iozio. And we also have Brian Kenzer, who is sometimes with us, but he supports the WP3 with his business, Smart Living Today. And this business is about American-made products and American manufactured products, and a stream that helps support the People's Patriot Project while you're shopping. If you want to reach out to our sponsor, Brian, to discuss getting on the right side of your health, supporting American families, jobs, and the economy, and supporting the WP3 mission at the same time, we will be posting that link for you shortly. The People's Patriot Project, We Got Your 6 at 6 podcast can also be heard on Reads Across America Radio on Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern. And if you're listening this Sunday, you will hear last week's episode. You can find Reads Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, the TuneIn app, or you can just search the word Reads Across America Radio. Looks like I missed one. We also have the temple massager, a former guest, Joe Meisch. Mark is very fond of that one. Thank you to all of our sponsors, our guests, and our viewers. But before we start this week's show, we ask that you take off your hats, stand, cover your heart, and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Boom, here we go, folks. Let's grow. I need to get a graphic for the Let's Grow. I getting better. I getting better some stuff. Thanks, Jonathan, for filling in for the Miss Eichmann. She is busy spending grandbaby time tonight, and that's family first in our mission and what we do and making sure. And we hope she's traveling safe and getting back here to this space. This is our June 29th. I don't know if I like talking about what date it is because it seems like time just slips away. And while I'm crunching and getting stuff done, while the WP3 team is crunching, getting stuff done, reaching out for veterans, asking big ask, little ask, all the asks, it just doesn't seem like time. And then we sit back and oh my gosh, we've been in 6 months of this year already. And this week is, I know Jonathan's got some news for it. It's not a surprise to anybody, but the 4th of July this week. My goodness. You're watching episode 259er. And we have been consistently here. I am very prideful with the work that the week has done in coming here every weekend. There's actually more than 259 episodes, but we didn't know what we were doing at the very beginning, so we might have missed a couple of I mean, it's documented somewhere, but putting it all together, it's a nightmare. So we're going to go official 259. And again, tonight's show is just about these two dudes above us. That's it. It's not about WP3. Now, WP3 is a conduit that puts us here and gets us here. But it's about the mission of Mr. Robert Heckler and the Warriors Refuge down there in Texas. We just found out these guys live about an hour away from each other. So just found that out. And then the amazing music of Mr. Jeff Canada, which we have roughly 216 veteran musicians and first responder musicians in our catalog. And I would never come out. We never put them on a hierarchy. Our program doesn't do the who's listening to who. We get them all. I'm telling you right now, Jeff Canada needs to be listened to. You need to put him on we got a Spotify link. We'll get that up here in a minute. He's got energy, man. And he's got a talent. And we are absolutely 100% honored to having you here tonight, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff and Robert, for being in here tonight. We're going to get a couple more messages and things done here. Jonathan, you ready to roll with the news? It works better, and I'm not going to attack you. The microphone. Thank you, sir.
I knew where this was going. I'm fixing to post the link for the Spotify account, but yes, I am ready. All right, so this week in the news, June is National PTSD Awareness Month. In 2014, the Senate designated the month of June as PTSD Awareness Month. The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs would be one of the forerunners in the fight against PTSD. Some of the earliest mentions of the disorder before it was even named PTSD would date back to 50 BC. The National Center for PTSD states that about 7 to 8% of the population will experience PTSD in their lifetime. And some experts would say that it's normal to experience shivers and trembling after a traumatic event, as it is the body's natural way of releasing excess adrenaline. But most of us here have had our own experiences with it. PTSD Awareness Month is a reminder of the strength of humans. Our minds have immense strength, but we also have our limitations, and learning to recognize those limitations and work around them within our capacity shows just how strong that we truly can be. We also have the strength to get better on our own. The road to recovery might be different for everyone, but there is a road for each of us. Coming up on July 2nd is Made in the USA Day. It is celebrated on July 2nd because it's just before Independence Day, and people's patriotic feelings are usually at an all-time high for the year. You can look for Made in America tags on the products you purchased. There is also an e-retail store located at madeinamericastuf.com. And as we mentioned earlier in the intro, we have WP3's very own Captain Brian Kinzer that has a company that is proudly selling all things made in America, or all the products are made in America. July 4th, that's Independence Day. I'm sure you knew that already, though. On June 7th, the Continental Congress met at the Pennsylvania State House, where Richard Henry Lee introduced a motion calling for the independence of the colonies. A heated debate would ensue, and Congress would reschedule the vote on Lee's resolution after appointing a 5-man committee to draft a formal statement justifying the defect from Great Britain. Among those 5 men were Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin. Thomas Jefferson was tasked with pulling the document together from the ideas of all of the men, and he envisioned a nation where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness would crystallize the very essence of being an American. On July 2nd, 1776, in a virtually unanimous vote, the Continental Congress would vote in favor of Lee's resolution for independence, and on July 4th, the Declaration of Independence was formally adopted, announcing our freedom from Britain's rule. Although the Declaration of Independence was adopted, on July 4th, 1776. Only 2 delegates were actually able to sign that day, and it wasn't until August 2nd, later that year, that all the signatures were on the Declaration. And by coincidence, both John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, who were the only 2 signatories of the Declaration to later become president, would both die on the exact same day, July 4th, 1826. I thought that was cool. Well, not cool, but I thought it was an interesting fact. But that is all that we have in the news today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you. And now it comes to our time where we call it our call to action. We every weekend, well, every month, we tell our board that this is a working group and we are going to work. We are going to do things to make life better for those who have signed the line and that allow us the protections, the privileges that we have. You can take a chance and read our little, I don't know, it's not a pledge. Is it a synopsis? I don't know what we call it, but we know why we get to do this. It's because of the men and women, those who have served as veterans, as service members, as first responders, and have committed their time, sweat, blood, limbs, family, and life to give us the freedoms that we have that allow us to do what we do daily. We get to drink what fruity, tutti, coffee, latte, mocha, chino we want to drink. We get to drive what vehicle we want to drive, when and where and how. We get to lay your big fat heads on the pillows of freedom every single day because the men and women who have signed those lines. So thank you. And thank you for all those who have served. We appreciate you. Now it's time to pick up your device. And we want you to go through and get into a text screen here. And I want you to take and type in, I was just thinking about you. That's it. This is called Check Your Six. First thing you need to do is check you. You do your battle, pat down, you check, make sure you're good. You got all your stuff. Things are right. You know what? And if you're not all right, if you are emotionally not in a space where you think you are stable, that you are safe, then you need to reach out to somebody. Now, I personally, this is me speaking. I personally would not run to the old Facebook chatter chat and put it out there. Hey, I'm doing this, and this. I personally wouldn't do that. I think you're going to find the wrong support in those spaces. That's my opinion. Here's the caveat to that. We have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who have done that. And we have just kindly reached out and said, hey, I see you got some struggles, brother or sister. How can we help and support? So we're trying to be that safety net to catch that. But first of all, you need to check you. Papa, hey, Jonathan, I'm not doing very good right now. And you know what? Jonathan, most of the time, just sits and listens. And that's pretty much all I need. And every once in a while, I ask him for his opinion. And sometimes he gives it to me. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't. It's all good. But someone has heard that I'm struggling, and they are there in my court, in my corner, and are there supporting me. And he knew if it was in a place, and I'd be honest, we have this, I need help. We'd make sure that we would get those pieces into place. Now, that's check my six. We're going to take our little text thread and we're going to send it out to 6 people on our contact list. Yes, we are veteran and first responder forward. That's what we do. That's our mission. But we are also okay with you reaching out to anyone that's in your contact list because our world is kind of in those spaces right now. And everyone needs to know that there's someone in their corner. So you're going to check 6 of people in your contact. Sorry, not sorry. I know that I feel good. I'll tell you right now that Scotty Frazier down in Texas regularly and religiously sends me a message saying, hey, checking on you, brother. I've got some people other people that we've met in this show and in our network text me regularly. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for checking into me. Let's check more. Let's check. This is a proactive step moving forward. If you could do this every single day, can you imagine the amount of people we reach? We get roughly between 17 This is a big number. 17 and 70,000 downloads of this podcast. If you did 6 people every single day, we would take care of our people. And I think we would see that whatever number you're using, some are going to say 22, some are going to say 17 to 76, some are going to say 6,000 per year. One is too many. And I know that if we are reaching out to our brothers and sisters, we will reach them. And I am going to challenge you with one more little tiny nuance to this whole thing. And I'm going to ask you, all of us mess up a relationship every once in a while. Everyone, either it's a bad joke or underhanded comment, or you took too much Kool-Aid at the thing or drank all the milk in the refrigerator or something. I don't know. But you've got a relationship in your life that ended up sideways a little bit. And it would take very little energy to resurrect that conversation, resurrect that relationship. I ain't asking you to do ex-wives, ex-husbands, ex-girlfriends, brothers. Not asking you to do that. If you want to, go ahead and do it. But reach out to one of those, and reach out to a leader too, because the leaders always get left out. That's what we got. I'm done. I'm done with our mission. I'm done with not our mission. I'm not done. I want to hear what these guys got to offer. Mr. Heckler, tell us who you are. Tell us about your service, and tell us what is your mission.
Well, I didn't know we had to talk so much about me. No, I was an infantryman in the Army from 2001 to 2005. I was with the 1st Cavalry Division and 1st of the 9th. I'm very proud of that unit that I served in. I served with some of the greatest men I'll ever know in my life. I got out of the military shortly after a deployment to Iraq. I was supposed to get out of the Army in January of 2004, and the Army decided that I needed to extend my contract involuntarily, and was stop lost and was able to deploy with my unit, which is great. And deployed to Iraq and Baghdad from 04 to 05. Got out shortly after coming home from Iraq in March of 05. And then I went into law enforcement, and I worked in law enforcement and EMS from 2007 timeframe till 2021, where I left life of being a first responder to come to the Warriors Refuge as a call to ministry. COVID cleared my schedule quite a bit and all the things that I had going on, and decided to go back to school and enrolled in a Christian ministry program. And ultimately that's where the Lord brought me, was here to the Warriors Refuge. So I've been here since 2021. The Warriors Refuge has been around since 2019. We started out as primarily a transitional housing facility for homeless veterans. Currently, on any day, we can have between 50 and 60 homeless veterans that live in our facility. But over the last 6 years, we've expanded our services to where now we offer 3 pillars of service. We offer transitional housing for veterans that are facing homelessness. We provide mental health and substance abuse counseling to veterans that are in residence as well as in our community, their spouses and their children free of charge. And then we also provide employment and education resources for veterans that are homeless, at risk of being homeless, or recently released from incarceration. So out of those 3 services, we just come alongside of our veterans, provide them with case management, counseling, peer support, employment and education coaching, referring out for different resources, different things like that, networking. And our approach is to take our veterans and help heal their mind, their body, and soul, to end homelessness in their life, to end the mental health struggles that they have in life, teaching them the tools that they need to be successful and to thrive, and just grow from there. So it's pretty cut and dry. We've done a great job. I have a great team here that does an amazing work. They're ones that have the boots on the ground with our veterans every single day. And I get the privilege as the executive director to get the 1,000-foot view, the front row seat to watching these lives get changed every single day. And we are seeing veterans in homelessness in their life, getting sober, getting their mental health under control, and learning how to cope and manage their emotions, their anger, manage their trauma, and just ultimately get to a point where they can enjoy life again, standing on their own 2 feet. They did the time, right? They served their country, they paid their dues, and it's the chance for us to come alongside them, love them, and guide them down the path that gets them where they need to be.
Tons of questions for you, brother. We'll get to those here in a little bit, but I'd like to get into the cool cat next to you as well. It sounds like an amazing mission. It sounds like you guys don't know when to stop, which is not a bad thing either. But thank you for being here, Mr. Heckler. We're going to hear more in just a minute. Am I hearing some audio feedback right now?
Yeah.
And that's me. All right. Well, the fix of this is leaving and coming back, but I don't want to do that right now. It seems like it simmered out.
Yeah, whatever you
All
did,
right.
stopped it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Little button push. Sometimes that does fix it sometimes too. But once we get into there it is. Thanks, Robert. I'll fix it from my end when we get into Jeff's first song. So Mr. Canada.
Yes,
Coming
sir.
at you, same thing, man. Coming from the great state of Texas. Both these guys are coming from the great state of Texas. I don't know if you saw some of the comments. You guys know, it's such a tiny place with a small population. I just wanted, you guys know Derek Iozio?
No.
By chance? He runs a mission out of the Round Rock area. Derek Iozio, great, amazing man. Runs the Shadow Foundation. Another niche organization. Where'd it go? Now I can't find it. That doesn't matter. We saw, did I say Derek Iozio? Not Derek Iozio. Eric Oligschlager. My bad. But I saw Derek Iozio as well. You guys know Derek O?
Mm-mm.
No. It's really hard for me, you guys, if you don't know Iozio, because he's in Alabama. You guys should know him right now. I'm just kidding. Eric O in the house, amazing story. His mission that's out there. Sadly, his son succumbed to the VA cocktail of drugs. He actually had a bed to get in and lost his life the weekend before he got to take his bed. And so, tough story. Eric is on a mission to help young men and women who get into that place and space and get them off those. Back to Jeff. You got to tell about all these amazing missions. Tell us who you are, brother.
Man,
what's your amazing mission?
I'm just a country boy down here from Texas with a weird last name that just tries to put out real music for real people and that's pretty much, try to tell stories that mean something to the heart, not this AI fake auto-tune bull crap that you got to hear all the time. I don't know about a mission. I'm just trying to make it through this life without hurting too many feelings and just spreading as much love as I can and as much music as I can and trying to get people to just think outside the box when it comes to our own thoughts, man, because we get trapped in our own boxes and I've been there so many times where you don't really feel like you have anybody to talk to or anything, but I just want to be one of those artists that kind of puts out music that's relatable to those that have struggled, and because that helps, man. It heals. Music heal. I know that I would not be alive right now if it was not for the power of song. And
you're a spitfire on stage, though. I've watched enough of your stuff, and I was just like, you go get them when you're up there. I mean, you give a message while you're on stage outside of your music. You tell it how it is.
Yeah, I don't have a filter. I'm not owned by anybody. I'm not, I don't have any big labels or big money behind me. I do have a few sponsors, but luckily those sponsors are the kind of people that that let me be me, and they don't, they're not like Nike and going to come in and pull your sponsorship because you make a stupid comment on a podcast or something. And so I'm really grateful for those guys. But yeah, I'm just, there's just so much fake on out there right now, like fake people, fake, people faking their past, people putting out fake music, fake videos. You don't know what to, and I think that right now, the biggest thing that you can be is just real and authentic. And I think that's what people are starving for. And I'm just trying to build like a cult following of people that want real people, not this overproduced, auto-tuned bull crap music that's coming out, but like stuff that's real. And because that, to me, that's what touches souls, man.
I have to ask because I'm not smart enough to know. Where does the last name Canada come from?
That's an interesting story. My I don't know how true this is. This is what I've been told, passed down, through family members and stuff. My great grandfather, whatever who he was, our last name used to be Canaday, and it was Kanaday. I think it was uh Irish. And
That makes sense.
apparently my great grandfather killed someone and then came down to Mississippi and changed his name to Canada, and then joined the Mississippi militia and fought in the Civil War for the South. And then I did find his desertion papers but the desertion papers are dated a year and a half after the Civil War ended. So apparently he killed one of his officers in the militia too, and then defected to Arkansas, where he started spreading his seed. That's what I hear, and it's a cool story, so I'm gonna stick to it.
You can keep all your dirty laundry in your basket. You don't have to share all of it, okay?
Oh well, I'm an open book, homie. I'm an open book.
What song would you like to start with tonight, brother?
I think if we're gonna, if I don't, it just depends. You want to go on what 3 did I send you? I can't even remember.
You Monsters, Rain, and High Horse.
Okay, if you want to start, if you want to show them the video of Monsters and you want to get them in their feels this early, then we can do that because that's a very hard video to watch.
Tell us the story.
If you want to do something a little more upbeat, High Horse would probably be the one. Maybe we could do that after or whatever. It's kind of just a fun song. So
Monsters.
So Monsters is a really is a crazy song how it worked out. I actually wrote that song when I was in a really, really, really dark place, but it wasn't about suicide when I wrote it. It was actually about having a reoccurring dream that I was having. And it was one of those situations where sometimes you would fall asleep and you wouldn't know you were dreaming and you would be scared. And other times you'd fall asleep and you would know you're dreaming and you could kick everybody's ass. And so I kind of wrote that song kind of looking forward to, but also kind of scared to go to sleep at night because of those dreams. And once I put the song out, I released it. And I do what I always do, and I try to get as much fan feedback as I can. And I had at least 15 people sent back and tell me stories about someone that had killed themselves and how much that song made them relate to that. And one of them in particular, a good buddy of mine, when he was 17 years old, his dad killed himself. And so when I shot the video, I started listening to the song, and I think subconsciously that is what I'm saying. I think when I was writing it, I really wasn't thinking so much about, the ultimate price, but I was just thinking about just the depression and the escape, using kind of a dream as an analogy. And I think that's what subconsciously I was doing. And I think that's why so many people, put that towards suicide. And so when I shot the video, the video is very clearly about mental health and about suicide. And at the end of it, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my career, but it's also it's the most proud of everything I've ever done in my career is my performance in this video. So
this is Jeff Canada, Monsters.
sun sometimes, but I think I'd rather have the moon. There's nothing wrong with the morning light, but it burns me up by noon. The clock's broken on the wall, and I know I'll be haunted soon. As I lay my head down and dream of you, I don't mind blue skies sometimes, but I think I'd rather have the rain. The thunder clouds are rolling in, and they keep the wolves at bay. The sound on that old tin roof keep me from going insane. As I lay my head down and dream of pain. So I'm drifting off to lonely, where the monsters stake their claim. Maybe I'll find some answers where the monsters come to play. Come to play. I'm sitting at an ocean well, wishing that I had a little change. Wishing that the universe would stop playing all its games. I'm sick and tired of waiting on a little something to go my way. So I lay my head down and dream away. So I'm drifting off to lonely, where the monsters stake their claim. Maybe I'll find some answers where the monsters come to play. So I'm drifting off to lonely, where the monsters stake their claim. Maybe I'll find some answers where the monsters come to play. Come to play.
That is Jeff Canada, Monsters.
Yeah, that video still gets me every time I see it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Something I created gives me the chills, you know?
So you mentioned, how does it feel like when you get to hear your music on the radio, or you hear it in public, or you hear it while you're driving around? What does that feel like?
If I'm by myself, it's kind of cool. If I'm in public and I hear it, it's kind of weird. It's just, I don't know. Like if I'm at a bar or restaurant, it comes on, somebody puts on a jukebox or something. It's kind, I don't know. I feel pretty weird because I'm not actually performing it. I'm just, it's very strange, you know. Um, but I mean, obviously, when other people are telling you it's good or whatever, that's kind of cool. But it's very awkward to hear it when you're in public in front of everybody else.
Sure. Yeah. Totally get it. Mr. Heckler, did that song conjure up any feels for you, brother?
Well, if we're just going to get in it early, let's just get in it early, I guess. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a fan. It's the first time I've heard of you, Jeff, and I just followed you on Spotify. So
thank you so much.
Now we need to get you to come down and do a tour of the place and come check it out. But
I'm in anytime.
We'll connect. But so I will tell you, when I first got out of the military, I was very bitter that I had to get out of the military. I was a lifer. I was going to go career, and I couldn't pass my hearing test. And I just realized that my career was over. And I ended up getting, like I said, as an infantryman, you train for war. Like, that's your job. And it would have been devastating to get out of the military right before my unit deployed and know that would have gone down while I was sitting at home. And so I know it sounds weird when I say that I'm grateful that I got to deploy with my unit, because as an infantryman, that's all that matters is your unit. But when I got out, I was pretty salty about it, and I checked out. I wasn't engaged in anything veteran related. I just was done with it. Like, that series was over. And so in 2009, my brother-in-law, who I served with, he came home. We came home, and he met my sister and ended up marrying my sister. But he's my brother-in-law now. But he called me, I think it was December of 2009, and to let me know that Eric, Specialist Eric Bearden, had taken his own life. And Eric was my driver. That was my guy. I was his team leader, and that sent a volcano through my soul of just like really understanding that as an NCO, we have an obligation to our men, and it doesn't really ever end. And it just shook me to the core. And so it was at that moment that I was like, okay, like, I've got to get plugged back in, and I've got to re-engage. Like, our commitment doesn't end at ETS, and I didn't want to see that happen again. The guys that I deployed with, I loved. And actually, when you said, hey, send a text, that's how I went into our platoon group chat and sent a text, because I love them guys, and I don't get to see them very often. And but that's what just re-engaged me. So that subject matter is very personal for me, because of Eric. And he was a hot mess of a soldier, but he was the best soldier that we had. Like, the guy was all over the place, but when it mattered, when it needed to be what it needed to be, he made sure it was that. And he always took care of me. He took care of our other guys in our platoon. Was just a genuine dude that loved very deeply, and from Sweetwater, Texas. And that news that he passed was devastating for me, but it was a kick in the chest that I needed to re-engage. And I'll be honest with you, that moment is ultimately what was a big factor in where I am now, doing what I do now and serving where I serve, because if that wouldn't have happened, I probably would have just stayed checked out and worried about myself and took care of my own life and did all that. And so, yeah, that was a great job, man. That song is, appreciate that. I didn't cry, fortunately. I was able to hold that together, but you talk about getting in the feels, that did it. And yeah, it's a great song, man. It's going to go on I have a special playlist. That's when you get in that moment, in that place, I call it my war set, right? When I get in that moment, in that dark place, and I just kind of want to be in my feels a little bit. It's time to just recollect and remember, and just certain songs that put you back in certain places. So I think you're going to make my playlist, man, because that's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. That's one of those songs that I was kind of told not to put out, just because it's not, at that time I was listening to people I shouldn't have been listening to, but I put it out. I put it on my first record anyway, and I dropped it, and I'm glad I did, because I think I've had countless individuals send me thank you messages for that song. So, and it helps me, that helped me. That whole process of writing that song and doing that video helped me and my mental health more than I could even because when I was shooting that video and I got in there and I was in that little shack, I mean, I went to some dark places that I haven't gone to in years and years and years. And so it really, it helped me. And so the fact that, if it can help somebody else, then man, that's a win-win where I come from,
If it saves one, it's worth the effort, the way I look at it.
100%.
Sir Heckler, you made a comment there, and then I appreciate the comment and the fact that there's a time and place to revisit this stuff, and there's a time and place for growth around each and every one of those thoughts. But I mean, I've got a veteran in our space up here in Minnesota just recently. He's dealing with recovery. He's dealing with all the things. He goes to his meetings regularly. He long meetings all day, starts early in the morning and goes till the evening. And then he's sitting there with all this time on his hands during weekends. And that's reminded me of Monsters, man. He texts me, he says, I'm in that space. And he goes, I don't want to take the next step. That's the wrong next step. And I go, you can't live life with thinking your next step's going to be the wrong step. Now, whether it is or isn't, and you need to just make the right step. And, the advice I gave him is find Sunday groups, find something to do with your time. He's looking for a job, all these pieces. Well, he tried to go find a job when it was 105 degrees. And I'm just probably not the funnest day of your life. He doesn't have a vehicle at this time, working through those. So he's walking everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, not that day. I take a breath.
Yeah.
You've got a team. You've got people on your back. Listen to Weekly Through Radio. Robert, I like you got a playlist, and I don't want to take away from Jeff and him having a spot on your playlist. But just so everyone knows, we've already got Jeff loaded up on WP3 Radio. You can hear him and all other 200 plus musicians that are out there that are singing content that is and not all of it's about military service and social emotional stuff. Some of it is just life is good stuff as well. So fill yourself and your mind and your life with array of opportunities. And again, you got to test that temper a little bit. Now, I'm not saying if you are dealing with alcoholism, go sit at the bar. That's not testing that temper. That is taking the right step is not stepping into the bar if that's something you're struggling with. Bottom line. I mean,
I think that, as we progress, feelings don't go away, right? It's learning to manage them, right? And I think that sometimes it's okay to just have those moments where you're quiet and you just maybe need to cry a little bit and just process some things. But, you're veteran there. I actually have a little piece of advice that I would like to give. It's something I say all the time here. And then I've said it many times that the greatest lesson that I learned in the military, I learned from road marching. And what I learned is that road marching sucks. It's hard and it's heavy. Your body hurts, your feet hurt, your soldiers hurt, everything hurts. But as long as you continue to put one foot in front of the other, you can whine about it, you can cry about it, you can be mad about it, you can bleed, you can be sore and tired. It doesn't matter. But as long as you put one foot in front of the other, eventually you're going to get where you're going and you're going to get to the destination. And, I tell people that all the time. It's the greatest lesson I learned in the military was from road marching. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And the littlest step doesn't matter. It could be so insignificant, but as long as it's in the right direction, eventually enough of those little steps are going to add up to you getting to a point where you can take your ruck off, lick your wounds, cry about it some more, and enjoy the victory of completing the march. And I think sometimes, and as veterans, we have the capability to embrace that suck and keep on walking and keep on pushing. And I think when we get out, sometimes we forget that. But that's something that's ingrained in us. And, of course, the military doesn't necessarily have the the forward thinking to saying, oh, there's a life lesson in learning how to road march. They don't. They're just there to walk and it's all about physical conditioning and preparing for the mission. But there's a valuable lesson to be learned there. And that's just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you'll get where you're going, you know?
Yeah, and a tag on to the top of that, I was going to say something similar to that, but you know, one thing that really helped me out when I was is just small, like small goals, like small achievable everyday goals, right? Like maybe it's something simple like, hey, I'm going to do 100 push-ups. Not, I mean, that's not simple, but you know what I mean? Maybe I'm going to do 10 push-ups today, and then, you know, because if you look at your path and you look at where you're going and your goal is all the way on the other side of the world, you're going to lose faith when you're not making it all the way to the other side of the world. You know, if your goal is to, if your goal is to get a six pack and that's your main goal is to get a six pack, you know, I'm talking about abs. I'm not talking about alcohol.
Yeah.
If your main goal is to get a six pack, well, if you don't have that six pack in 30 days, you're going to feel really bad about things, you know, and you're going to get down on yourself about it. But if your goal's only, hey, you know, today I want to do 5 setups, tomorrow I want to do 6, and to the next day I want to do 7, the next day I want to do 8, eventually you're going to get to that six pack if you just keep growing and keep doing this thing. And I know that's a lot harder. And that's why I always recommend to anyone that's struggling anything, pick up an instrument. Pick up an instrument. And I don't care if it's the flute or the piano or the recorder or a guitar. It doesn't matter what it is, because that is one thing that you could put in your life today that can give you small little goals.
Yeah.
Small goals. You know, like today I'm gonna learn how to tune this guitar. Tomorrow I'm gonna learn how to make a G chord. Next, you know, and then you go down this list, and you know, and music is not as hard as what people think it is. There's only 12 notes. There's only 12 notes. That's it. They're not inventing anymore. There's 12 notes. So, like, that's why I always recommend something like music, you know, because or physical fitness, you know, because once you get there, it can be so therapeutic, and you set those small goals, and you'll get there eventually, for sure.
Absolutely.
I always go with the adage for my students, and I help them understand. But how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's right.
And you know,
and
you hand them a
textbook. Bring friends.
Yeah. You hand them a textbook, and I've done this with some older books, not newer books, stuff and I'll rip the book apart, and I say, you only need to know about this much right now. You don't need to know the whole book. And so now everything's online, and so I chop everything off into, this is the focus for the week. We just got to get through these small bites, get through this day, get through this moment. I constantly remembered military hot and military cold, military tired, all those things. Military sucks. But I always knew I'd get to eat a meal within that day. So there was your break. I always knew I'd get to sleep at some point. So it's just like, just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the same thing, because some of our men and women who come home decide to sit down on a couch and they forget to move forward. And then all of a sudden, what's coming in the back door? The monster.
That's right.
Here's your monster. And so get up and move, folks. Get up and move. Get up and again, check. Am I okay? If I'm not okay, reach out to somebody.
And also, I would like to say this: if you are a veteran, or you, I don't care if you're a veteran or not. If you're struggling and you want to get into music, you know, reach out to me privately, and I got tons and tons of people. We can find you an instrument. Like if that's part of the problem, we can find you an instrument, and we can probably find you someone to get you on the right path of playing it too. Because again, we can, you know, that's the one part. The whole embrace the suck thing, you know. I'm an independent artist. I have to embrace the suck that is the music industry every single day, and it's one of the hardest things you can do. And you know, not take anything away from people that have done harder things. I'm just saying it's an extremely hard, competitive, cutthroat, you know, backbreaking industry, and you. But if you don't you keeping one foot in forward is that's definitely what we want to do. But also, again, man, if you just have those small goals, maybe it's those 5 steps, like that way when you get to that 6th step, you're like, I just accomplished that goal. And you're not so hard to think, you know, because I think it makes the suck a little bit easier to embrace when you can just do those small little goals, man.
What's that? It was like a Navy SEAL commander in a commencement speech. I wish I could remember his name. But he talks about wake up every day and make your bed. He said, because starting your day with completing your task. And at the end of the day, if your day totally went to crap, you have a freshly made bed to crawl into that'll make it all better. Right. And it's so much wisdom in that statement. It's like, that's right. Start your day off on the win. And if the day goes to hell, you get a nice, clean, freshly made bed at the end of the day. And it's a great, you're right. Little goals is what the key is, right? One bite at a time. That's the key to success.
Yeah.
That is the honorable Admiral McRaven with his motivational speech of
that's what I said. You know him.
Yeah.
You know, something else that helped me kind of tremendously when I was in my really, really the darkest of times is my phone. You know, I would always have my phone by my bed, and I'd wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is grab that phone, and I would check my text messages, check my emails, check my Facebook, check my whatever. And then the problem is, man, you have no control of those outside influences. Zero control of those outside influences. So you can wake up in the morning to 10 text messages telling that somebody had passed away. You can wake up to somebody had come on social media and just bashed you, which happens to me all the time. And so I would read these like negative things first thing in the morning. So what I started doing, and I don't do it much anymore because I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm just talking about when I'm in a bad spot. And I put my phone in the other room, and I don't even look at it. So I get up and get moving and brush my teeth and do the things I need to do. And then I'll pick up my phone, because there's nothing worse than your first thing in the morning being just met with negativity. So that might be something you can try just to help out too.
The Bible, you want to start your day with positivity. You get in the Bible first thing in the morning. That'll change your whole day first and foremost. And I read my Bible every morning, and that's my time. I get up early before all of my family, before my little girl wakes up, and the house turns into a hurricane. And I get up before everybody, and I do my daily reading, and that's the best way. You want positivity, you wake up with some positivity. That's a surefire place to get it. And it's good, because right, you start your day off negative, the whole day it sets the tone, and it's not positive at all.
I wrote a song about it. It's one of the 3 that I sent him, so it's pretty cool.
Get to that. Robert, tell us about the day in the life at the Warriors Refuge. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, so it kind of looks different for everybody. Our program's pretty individualized, but ultimately, our guys that are in residence here, we provide 3 meals a day. Good meal is so important to anybody's overall well-being. But the day here typically is filled with, we have a variety of different classes that our residents go through. And that covers anything from financial management to cognitive behavior to anger management, emotional regulation. Depending on what's going on, sometimes it could be dealing with grief. It's a variety of different classes, substance abuse classes, smart recovery, different things like that. And just working to give them the tools. And then for some guys, it may be on the van to appointments at the VA. It may be a variety of appointments. We have 3 vans that roll different routes to get guys where they need to be, whether it's in appointments at the VA. We have a van that takes them to and from work if they need it. Could be going to the driver's license off. You'll be surprised sometimes how challenging it is to get a birth certificate, or even an ID for somebody that's experiencing homelessness. And so they meet with their case management. Everybody here meets with their case management once a week. They meet with their counseling team. We have peer support classes that happen throughout the day. One of our most successful peer support programs is we have a garden. a community garden. We have a community garden club that they just did a pickling class this last week and learned how to make pickles. But they go out there, they work the garden, and it's that therapy that's so healthy for you. Like he was talking about music or, a variety of different things. Gardening is one of those great therapy tools that they can use. So we just basically do a variety of things. It just depends on the resident, on the veteran, and what's going on with him. It may be filled with a little more counseling, a little less classes, a little more classes, a little less counseling, depending on what's going on. So we have a pretty big team here. All of our case managers, all of our substance abuse and mental health counselors, all of our peer support specialists, they're all on staff. They're all in the building. And the only thing that we outsource services-wise is our equine therapy programs. We have 2 locally in our county that have veteran programs that we outsource, but everything else is done right here in house. And that's one of the cool dynamics that we have, is that our residents have the ability to see their case manager or their counselors 5 days a week. Like, they're there. If they're in trouble, our building is staffed 24/7. There's always somebody here. And it just pretty much starts with a lot of your traditional residential programs, 3 meals a day, classes, groups. We have morning devotional here every morning from 9 to 9:30. That's optional. So we don't require anything faith-based. It's all at their own choice. We have church services that happen here in the building on Wednesday nights. And again, like I said, that's all optional there for them if they choose to participate. And really the goal is just for them to wake up every day and work on whatever that next step is to get where they're going. And these guys stay here anywhere from, on average, from 6 to 9 months. They can be here for up to a year. So it just depends. Our rule here is, so we're a transitional housing facility, so we're not a shelter. So the goal here is to transition out of homelessness into permanent housing and to be thriving. So as long as they're working and being productive and doing what they need to do, they're able to stay here for as long as they need to. We don't do the work for them. We come alongside them and guide them and coach them and mentor them, hold them accountable. But ultimately, they have to do the work. They have to put the work in. And our team just come alongside and loves on them and supports them and mentors them. Sometimes that love is tough love. Sometimes people got to hear some hard truths. But ultimately, some guys are in and out of here within maybe 30, 60 days. Some guys are here a little bit longer. Just depends, because every situation is very different in every circumstance. We've had veterans that are here that have come straight out of jail. We've had veterans that have come because their marriage is falling apart and they don't have anywhere to go. COVID put a lot of people here when they lost their jobs and just found themselves with nowhere to live. It's a variety of reasons. Substance abuse is a big factor here. We see that a lot. I would say percentage-wise, probably about 75 to 80% or more of our residents here have some history of substance abuse. And probably higher than that have mental health issues. And it's not, our goal is to get them healed in the mind, the body, and the soul. Get them stable, get them sober, get them regulated, and then get them into a permanent housing to where they can thrive and enjoy life the way they're supposed to. And so the typical day is just working those steps and working through that process. And we're pretty creative. So we're open. We're not afraid to say, no, we don't want to do that. If we think it'll work, if it's worth a try, we'll try anything. We'll do any class. We'll start any program. If it works and it's productive, we'll do it. We don't think inside a box here. We are always looking for different ways to connect with these guys and get them where they need to be. So it's ever evolving, ever changing. And it may look, in 6 months, it may look completely different than our program may look completely different than what it looks now. We use a 3-phase program, which is regroup, rebuild, and reintegrate. That's our process. And it's designed around 9 months. But like I said, it's very individualized on each veteran's needs, and how they progress through those phases. This depends on the veteran themselves.
How big is your facility?
Our facility is 36,000 square feet. It's a old nursing home, and it's shaped like a star, like a medical star kind of. It's got a center area and then it's got 6 wings that come off of it. It was built in the 1960s. It's an old building with an old building problems, but we've been going through and remodeling it, and we just redid a bunch of flooring and did a roof this year too. And our roof was the original tar and gravel roof that was put on it. Those things were awful, but so it's 36,000 square feet. And so we have one hallway that is our admin. 2 of our hallways house our staff. And then we have 4 hallways that are residential hallways. That is where all the residents live based on what program they're in. So we can house, our max capacity is 62, or I'm sorry, correction. Yeah, it's about 62, 64 veterans on any given night we can house. We normally average about 55 is about the normal stay, and that fluctuates on who's going out, who's coming in, that kind of thing.
Where's it at?
It's in West Columbia.
Okay.
You know where Angleton is?
Yeah.
So we're just down 35 from Angleton, in the little town of West Columbia. It's about 3,500 people. Yep.
How long is a general stay for one of your residents?
6 to 9 months is the average, but it can be as little as a couple of weeks to 30 days. It can be as long as 12 months. The longest we've had anybody here was 14 months in program. And so we partner with the VA. So we're part of the VA GPD grant per diem program. So that's one of the grants that we operate under. And so at about that 9-month mark, the VA is kind of knocking on our door saying, hey, why is this veteran not housed yet? And basically the key to it is that a veteran is able to get 24 months of GPD programming in their lifetime. So we want them to use it sparingly so they don't run out. But about 12 months is about the cutoff before it's like, hey, something's got to give. Like we got to get this veteran housed, and it kind of goes into overdrive. But we very rarely make it that far. 6 to 9 months is our sweet spot.
How many, and I'm sorry I'm throwing all these, how many individuals do you help in a year in general?
So last year we helped 134 veterans housed here. And out of that 134, 77% of them were housed in permanent housing. And so it's a pretty good number. We're pretty excited about that. We want to get it higher. Our goal is to always get it higher. So that program, because we have 3 different programs, so we saw 134 veterans in our housing program. We saw 113 veterans in our employment and education program, and 96 veterans in our our counseling program. And now some of those are duplicate clients across all 3 programs, but those are the numbers per each. We track each program.
I'm just astounded about all the stuff that you are getting done. How many staff members do you have?
Our team total is 35. And that's 2 locations. So we have our primary campus, which is our housing facility. And then in Alvin, Texas, we have a satellite office that we call Rally Point. And that is a counseling office that houses a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a peer support specialist. And so the reason that's put there, that's actually right in the middle of 3 counties, Harris, Galveston, and Brazoria County. And if you draw a 30-mile radius around that map, around that location, according to the census, it puts us right in the middle of about almost 200,000 veterans. And so that was very strategically selected. But we have 35 staff total across the board.
And how do you guys?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the organization down there in that area? Remember the Fallen with Jason Sullivan?
I've heard. I know the organization. I don't know him, but I've heard of it. Yes.
Okay. Hey, he's one of my really, really close friends. I'm going to get you guys in contact because he may be able to help with some funding stuff.
Awesome.
Well, that's the next question. How is your program funded?
In regards to,
how do you get all this done? I mean, it doesn't come free.
No. So we actually operate under. We have 5 major grants that we operate under. We have a grant through the Veteran Affairs. We have a grant. That's our housing program. Our employment and education program is funded through the Department of Labor's Homeless Veteran Reintegration Program, HVRP. And then we have 2 grants through the state of Texas. Texas is a very veteran-friendly state. We have a grant through the Texas Veterans Commission it's a mental health grant. And then we have a grant through Texas Health and Human Services, which is also another mental health grant. And then we have a smaller grant through our United Way. So our grants cover our staff. That's why we're able to have the team that we have. And so our grants cover about 97% of our, give or take, don't quote me on that exact number, but about 97% of our staff and salaries are covered by grants, and a good portion of our programming. The remainder of it is done through donors, through community partners, one-off donations, foundation grants, things like that. So we have right now it's about $250,000 a year that needs to be funded through donations and that are not grant funded, because grants are very specific on what you can spend money on. So example I actually gave earlier in a presentation today is you take our building. So a lot of our grants will cover a good chunk of our operational costs, like our building maintenance, electric bill, utilities, things like that. But what grants won't cover, especially federal grants, is the actual cost of the building. So like our monthly mortgage cannot be allocated to any grant. That has to come through private donations and non-grant funding. Same thing with our vans. Our vans are, the grants will cover the fuel, the maintenance, the work on them, and all the things, except for the payment for the actual van. So like a lot of your grants won't cover any kind of capital gain, so to speak. So that's where a lot of our funding goes to things, and just even like salary. So a lot of our grants won't cover or don't allow for salaries for positions like your finance director, your financial team, which is imperative. Even the upper management, even at my level, a good portion of my salary can be allocated to grants to a certain degree, but not all of it, right? It just depends on each grant is different, and every federal grant is different. And even we have 2 state of Texas grants, and they're very different, governed by 2 different state entities. So each grant, you have to navigate it, that kind of make sure that we're operating within the guidelines of the grant, funding's being allocated appropriately. And so whatever that deficit is that grants don't cover, our funding, our non-grant funding does, our donors and things like that.
You ever get a chance to take a break, brother?
Make a what?
You ever get a chance to take a break?
Sure. I mean, we'd have to define what a break looks like. I'm a pretty proactive person in general. Like, I like to stay busy. So even outside of work, I have quite a bit. I pastor a church as well, and a brand new church. We just celebrated a 1-year anniversary. But so I pastor a church, and I like to serve. That's what I do. Since I was 17 years old, I've always been in a place of service. So I stay busy. I have kids that are in FFA, and so we do cattle. So I'll say this, working cattle is maybe my break, maybe taking care of cows and things like that. But I do get my breaks. I do get my downtime, things like that. But I'm learning the older I get, the more I lay around, the more it hurts. So I just stay moving, but it's we're doing good work, and I enjoy what I'm doing. So if I don't get a break, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Well, and if you love and have a passion for the things that you're doing, it seems like you don't need to have as much of a break. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's days that I am dragging knuckles, and I'm just like, I probably do overdo it personally, but it is what it is.
I don't work a day in my life. I've reached that point. God has brought me to a point in my life where I don't work a day in my life. They say, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. I don't work a day in my life. I love what I do. I love the Warriors Refuge, the work that we're doing here. the church that we started. I love that. I love my family, my kids, the cows, and all of those things. I don't work. I don't work a day in my life. I love every minute of it.
So when I was doing all the boots on the ground stuff, I was loving every minute of the WP3 stuff. Loving every minute of it. When I realized how much technology needs to back all this stuff, and you have to be in and out of the technology, that's the dragger stuff, because you're up until 1-2 o'clock in the morning and you got to get started again. And I'm a non-alarm getter upper between 4:30 and 5:30 every day. And it's just like, it's the technology breaks my brain. That's the thing.
I do spend a lot of time holed up in an office now because I started here as a case man. Actually, I started with the Warriors Refuge as a volunteer, leading church services and leading Bible studies. But I ended up getting hired on as a case manager in the employment and education, where I did a lot of outreach. But I progressed. Our organization went through some changes. And since I've become the executive director, my direct contact has dwindled quite a bit. I do some pastoral counseling with the residents if they need it, as need be, and that kind of thing. So, but my direct client contact is not as much as it was. But I see, and it took me a little while because I was a little sad about it. But I was like, the work that I do behind the scenes and running the organization and keeping it funded, keeping it running is critical, and it's important to the bigger mission. And so I embrace it. And, it does get a little lonely sometimes, holed up in my office, but I have a staff that checks in regularly, and they never leave me alone for too long, because if they're not stopping by to visit and say hi, they're coming in with some kind of drama or an emergency or something work related. And so it's not too bad. It's important. This is the gift. This is the gift that God has given me, to lead, to be a leader. And he's put me in a position to do that. And I just want to be a good steward of it and embrace it and do what I can for the overall mission. And we see the results of it. My team is amazing. This team is changing lives of our veterans every single day. And it's amazing that I get to be the guy that's calling the shots and keeping it all together. But at the end of the day, they're the ones doing all the work. And social work is hard work. It's stressing. It's taxing because you get invested. Every failure your client feels, you feel as a case manager, right? Every victory, every mountain, every valley, you're right there with them. And it's hard. It's hard work. And they kill it every single day. And, I'm very thankful for them.
Sorry, you caught me mid-cough there. Mr. Canada.
Yes, sir.
What are you working on these days?
Man, I'm all over the place, dude. I'm trying to figure out if I want to keep this podcast going or not. I'm trying to figure out if I want to release another album or if I'm just going to do singles. The music industry is one of these things that right now is just changing every single day. And it's full of it's just crap. And right now it's kind of the worst time that I've been playing music full time for a living since 2006. So I've gone through a lot of changes in the industry, and right now it's just with AI and technology, it's getting to the point where our jobs are starting to get run off, and and it comes across as a complaint, but it's just, this is what I love, and my happy place on this planet is sitting on a bar stool telling stories and singing songs to folks, and that's getting harder and harder to do because less and less people are paying attention, less and less people are coming out. So I'm trying to figure out how to get back to just playing music for the grassroots of folks. And so what I did last week, I had a Friday night off. So a week ago, I posted a post that I was going to give away a free house concert. And I knew immediately that was going to be an uphill battle because you got to educate the gen pop. You got to educate them on what a house concert is versus what a private party is. A private party is one of those situations where I'm going to come to play your grandma's 50th anniversary or your kid's 21st birthday or whatever. I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to play a bunch of songs for most people that don't give a crap if I'm there or not. And I'm going to charge $500 an hour for those things. If I'm going to come to your house and do a house concert, it's exactly what it is. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to do a 90-minute set. the people that you invite need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I need to be the focal point of what you're doing. And that's why I did it for free, because it's like, if I get there and that's not it, I can leave and not have any problems, you know? And so I did my first one on Friday night, and what's crazy is a veteran actually won the. It wasn't really a competition. I basically had maybe 10 or 15 emails, and I went through them, and he's a Marine, and he was in the went to Fallujah and Afghanistan and all kinds of stuff, and he took two bullets to the side after his like third deployment, I think, and he hosted it, and we got up there, and it was 15 to 20 people maybe. But man, for 90 minutes, it was total silence. For 90 minutes, it was them holding on to every word I said. When I got done, it was them being thankful for me coming out there and playing these songs for them. Plus, I made like $370 in tips and sold like another $180 in merch. So it was like I actually made as much or more if I would have just went and played just a normal bar show. And the problem is with bar shows, there's golden tee machines, and there's punching bag machines, and there's TVs, and people go there to catch up as opposed to really going there for the live music. And so basically, I'm just trying to figure out like how to, like, I don't want to be famous, man. Like, I'm not trying to be Cody Johnson. I'm not trying to sell out 40,000 seat venues. I just want to basically go anywhere in the States and sell 100 tickets. Like, that's a career. The problem is that just right now, it's just very hard to get people to pay attention just because there's so much going on right now. And less people are supporting live music. They're still showing up to the Morgan Wallen concerts and the Taylor Swift concerts. They're still going to those things. But where they're not going is they're not going to the small festivals, and they're not going to the small places that have live music that they haven't heard. And festivals all across the place are getting shut down. And I got really screwed because I'm in Texas. And Texas during COVID, our wonderful, fantastic governor shut us down on March 17th. March 17th is St. Patty's Day. He shut us down at 8 o'clock in the morning on St. Patty's Day. Because of the cost that a lot of those bars incurred getting ready for St. Patty's Day, we lost over 40% of our venues. So 40% of our venues went away. On top of that, we were one of the first states to open back up to do live performances. So we had like 70% more acts moved from across the United States to here. So now, before 2020, I could tell you 90% of Texas acts that are out playing shows. Now I can't even tell you 10% of them. So it's super oversaturated. So instead of going down that avenue and trying to fight to get those ears, what I'm trying to do is create different avenues to get my music out. Meaning these house concerts. TikTok Live has been a fantastic thing, even though I hate TikTok and I hate all this crap. I do these
good artists on there though.
Dude, I get on these TikTok lives and I host and sometimes I'll have 200 or 300 people watching. And like Hank the Third got on my TikTok live the other night, and guys like Scooter Brown, I'm not sure if y'all know who he is. He comes on and does some stuff, and I was just hanging out with him. He's one of my really close friends, and so it's just trying to figure out like how to, as a real person, how to cut through the noise, but not to the general. I'm not trying to play to the sensitive folks, right? Like I want to build a good following of people that are ride or dies. That's what I want. I want ride or die fans, man. I don't want these little sensitive babies that if I say something stupid, they're gonna, burn my freaking t-shirts and stuff. Like that's not what I want. It's really hard to connect to people on a human level now, and I think that's part of the reason. We can blame all of this mental illness on a PTSD. We can blame it all on just how hard it is to be alive, and we can blame it on women. We could do whatever, but at the end of the day, the real problem is, in my opinion, is right now it's harder than ever in the history of the human experience to connect to someone in a human experience. And that, to me, is what we got to figure out how to fix instead of running away from, which is what we're doing. We're I don't know if anybody notices this, but we're kind of creating our own demise right now with all this AI stuff. And I guess nobody watched Arnold Schwarzenegger kill all those people in 1987, but like, what are we doing? There's a band. I made a Facebook post about this. This is a true story. I just want y'all to know this is a true story. There's a new band called, I forget what the name of they're called. They're 100% AI band. AI band, AI photos, AI music videos, everything. They just came out and they're already over 440,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And it's not even real. So I'll let y'all ponder on that.
Wow.
And here's another thing. This is literally happening. You have people that cannot sing, cannot play guitar, can't play an instrument, can't write a song, can't do anything. They're pulling up these AI apps and they're creating a song just by typing in some stuff on a prompt. It's coming out. They're releasing it on Spotify, and then they're thanking people for supporting their music.
Huh.
So these are all things that we have to fight every day. You know,
That's crazy.
your mic's muted.
Yeah, Mark.
I'll tell you that there's always a bar stool here welcome for you if you ever want to come and jam.
Okay, I'm sure we can make that happen.
We have a big dining hall, so it's you can come down here and play anytime you want.
Cool.
Those that are out there are ridiculous, and we actually do this in our classroom. We use ChatGPT, and we will talk about, and you literally put in, create a song with a bridge, and we put in our student and give all the descriptors of the student. And then you take that, and then it will create that, and then we plug it into another platform that literally, in 30 seconds, you tell it what. I don't want to mention it because I really don't. I use it as a tool because kids get kind of hyped when there's a song with their name in it.
It's a great tool to play around with.
It is.
Absolutely.
I use it every day.
And I'm not totally against with using it to create something, but then you going and changing that into your own stuff to be broadcasted out into the world. But as a tool, not as the final polished product. It's crazy, some of the stuff that's out there. And
it's being done by labels. It's being done by labels, and it's being done by Spotify. It's not by an individual. Because here's the deal. This is the way, I don't know if everybody knows how Spotify works, but I'll go ahead and just go through it real quick. Because everybody says we get paid 0.003 cents per way That is not correct. What Spotify works is they take all of the subscriptions that they make for the month, and it goes into a pile. Spotify takes out all of their pay that they need to take. Their CEO making $320 million a year. They take all that stuff out of that. Then everything that's left over goes into a fund, and then they distribute that leftover amongst who gets what spends, right? The problem with that is if Spotify's creating the music as well now, that fund is growing because people are listening to those songs, but they don't have to pay that out to anybody. So it's actually making it every single payout is getting less and less for us artists.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Platform that doesn't do that?
What's that?
Is there any platform that's not doing that?
Man, I don't know right now. It's so
because I'll change right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I use Spotify. It's pretty hard to get away from it because I love new music.
I use primarily.
And I use it every day to create these new playlists, and and you have that problem. The other problem is I just think the general public doesn't look at live music as special anymore because there's so many people doing it. And the reason there's so many people doing it is because things like iPads. And I literally just went viral on TikTok about this, and I got in so much trouble because I said if venues would start outlawing the use of iPads on stage, there'd be 70% less live music. And what I mean by that is there's so many people that have skipped all the steps of what it takes to get to be a performer, right? They skipped all the steps because they just learned a few chords and they read the lyrics off an iPad on stage in front of folks. They're not actually working on their performance. So you got all these acts out there that may be a good singer and maybe a decent guitar player, but they're not connecting with the audience because they're reading everything off a freaking iPad. And you can't connect to an audience when you're doing that. And And you didn't go through the garage band days. You didn't go through the days of inviting your friends over and they're telling you how bad you suck. And you didn't go through the battle of the bands days and the open mics days. You just went straight to getting $200 or $300 to sit on a stage and play somebody else's music, which is cool. I don't doubt. Like, I did it for years, but it's like the problem is it's so easy to do what I do now. It's oversaturated, so nobody cares.
Yeah.
And so it's just trying to, and I don't want to come across as somebody that's complaining and I get off my lawn guy, because that's not what it is. It's just, I see the industry that I love, that I've done for almost 20 years, that I love more than anything on this planet, going to total crap. But it's everything. It's not just the music industry. It's truck drivers, it's cab drivers, it's Uber drivers. It's, soon, if you go get a brake job at a mechanic shop, it's going to be a robot that does the brake job. And now with these new, I don't know if you know about these new robots that Elon Musk's building, but when one robot learns something, all of them learn it. So it's like they're all connected through AI. So if you teach one robot how to change brakes on something, every robot learns how to do that. So how soon is it going to be before you're going to see zero humans working in places that you got it, And so it's going to be even harder to have that human experience. And I don't know what
it's going to force us. It's going to force us to make some decisions. It's going to force us to go out and build relationships as well.
But we're not, because the general population, I'm talking about the general population, they're sheep and they're going to eat whatever's fed to them. That's why our food supply is terrible, because they're just going to eat whatever's sold to them. They're going to consume whatever media is telling them to consume, whether that's the news or whether that's music or whether that's movies. Most people are going to consume what they're told to consume. We don't have enough free thinking individuals anymore.
We've progressed to a point of degradation.
I think we're cooked. That's what I think. I think we're cooked. I think what's going to happen is, over the next 10 years, you're going to see society just completely crumble. And I hate to say that, because I don't want that. I want to live in an optimistic world, and I want to live in love, and I want to spread love, and I want to do all that stuff. But I just don't see what the way out is.
I don't, and I might be a fool, but this is my perception of it. I think we're earmarking a space and place and an ideology of a group of people, because I think the majority of our country, this is my opinion, is out. They're in their boats, they're on their trucks, they're in their tractors, they're out hunting, they're out fishing, they're out living life, doing what they've earned and they've done. And I think that majority is going to be there always, except for the fact that how do you get them to slow down to have the conversation? Because they're doing what they want to do. And then you've got these people meeting in groups in populated areas that have a different ideology and a different belief system. And again, they're the ones that are being ran by the computers. They're the ones that none of them have a skill set. I mean, I don't want to tear people down, but the kids that I see graduating from our schools, there's colleges are coming back and they're saying these kids aren't ready to move to the next level. Why? Well, A, we have no retention. B, we don't really get to teach them real life aspects. We have to follow a curriculum that is diluted with other concepts, ideas, and things I don't necessarily agree with. But I kind of have a unique space where I kind of get to do me. And
me too.
I cook. I don't eat out of a jar. I cook from scratch everything. I think that's an important piece. My opinion. I mean, I'm hunting and fishing. That's what I believe in. Go and do it. Going out and knowing where your food comes from and where it's sourced. Everyone's bitching and complaining about red dye number 5. I don't even know what red dye number 5 is because I don't eat it. I don't drink it. I don't eat any of that stuff. I don't know what it even is. I don't know what I would consume that has any of that stuff.
Yeah, but you're in the minority, and that's the issue here. Answer this question honestly.
Okay.
If an EMP blast was to happen tomorrow, right? And YouTube goes down, and Twitter goes down, and Facebook goes down, and the power grid goes down, and y'all, I don't know if anybody here has served overseas. I have not, but I know I've heard stories about whenever the infrastructure breaks down. What is the percentage of the population right now in America do you think that could survive for 30 days out in the wilderness?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. You're right.
Probably less than 10%.
There would be a huge struggle.
Like when I go down fishing, I don't see thousands of people fishing. I see dozens of people fishing. You know,
Right.
when I go, you know, you got these deer leases and stuff. These deer leases don't have thousands of members. They have dozens of members.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's like I'm not a big political dude, right? Like I don't want to get into politics at all, but why? What is the number one reason you think we are where we are as a society?
People don't think for themselves.
But even more than
Historically?
that. No, I'm talking about right now.
I mean,
it's corporate greed. It's corporate greed.
Sure.
Because corporate greed is what puts the propaganda in place. It's what puts social media in place. It's what Spotify does. It's what all of these things do. And again, I'm a capitalist. I consider myself kind of conservative, but like but now, and this is where the AI equals where my problem is. Now you're going to take corporate greed is at an all-time high, and they can get away with anything they want to do because they have all the power in government. And now they're going to push out people from being paid because they're going automated because of robots and because of AI. So corporate greed's not going away. It's not.
There's an attempt. There's a try. There's a try to bring stuff back to America. I don't know.
I'm not even talking about that. But what about the American jobs? You think Ford Motor Company, if they can put 100 robots in their factory over 100 humans, what do you think they're going to choose? They're going to choose 100 humans because guess what? Those 100 robots. Those robots don't have maternity leave. They don't have mental health days. They didn't get broke up with the night before, so they're not productive, or lost their dog or their mom, and so they're not productive. Those robots
got
are
to be
going to work
enough
24/7.
front thought in this. They have to have the front thought, and maybe they're not thinking this. But here's the deal: if you start cutting all these jobs, no one's going to be able to afford to buy those vehicles that all that AI is making. So they might be cutting their own throats.
I don't know, man. I hope you're right. But I think short of something that shuts down the grid for a year, we're cooked. That's just what I think. That's how I feel. And until we have a Book of Eli moment or a Mad Max moment, or where we're having, I just don't see us pulling ourselves out of it. I hope we are, man. If something happens, I would love it, but I don't have much faith anymore.
Lead us into your next song, brother. What song do you want to roll with?
Let's do something happy. It's called High Horse. Okay. It's not really happy. This is a straight up diss track. This song is a straight up diss track about a couple of Texas country musicians that think they're hot shit. But it's really overall it's about just kind of cocky people in general. You know, those people that, you know what I'm saying? Those people that just think they're better than everybody all the time, and that's what it's about. So it's kind of just a dumb song that I wrote and put it out, but it's fun.
I'm writing something down. So we got Mr. Jeff Canada, High Horse.
Hey, mister, look at me. You think your shit don't stink? It's all about you and your insecurities. Open up your mind, you just might find. Take it from me, you ain't one of a kind. Come down off your high horse, you ain't better than me. Walking around this town, looking down at everybody you see. And it's a damn shame, you could be free, but you're stuck where you're stuck, cause you can't see the forest for the trees. Did you forget where you came from? You ain't acting the same, son. You used to be thick as thieves and now you're better than us. You think you're top shelf, but you're box wine. I got news for you, boy, you put your pants on one leg at a time. Come down off your high horse, you ain't better than me. But walking around this town, looking down at everybody you see. And it's a damn shame you could be free. Cause you're stuck where you're stuck, cause you can't see the forest for the trees. You ain't better than me. Walking around this town, looking down at everybody you see. Come down off your high horse, you ain't better than me. Walking around this town, looking down at everybody you see. And it's a damn shame you could be free. Cause you're stuck where you're stuck, cause you can't see the forest for the trees. Yeah, you're stuck where you're stuck, cause you can't see the forest for the trees. Yeah, you're stuck where you're stuck, cause you can't see the forest for the trees.
That is Jeff Canada with High Horse. We're coming back here. Trying to do too many things at once. Boom. All right. So
Yeah, just a good toe tapper.
it is a good toe tapper. It is it puts a little boogie woogie in there and you get to get your message out there and get off your high horse. Rah.
Yeah.
So we've extended some of our little sessions and we got someone that needs to have a heart out at 8:00, which is fine. We're good, but we're up and down there. So this is what we'll do, the format. We're going to ask Mr. Heckler what is the next big thing for him. And we'll put up his information and contact real quick again. We put it up 2 other times tonight. And then we'll do our final thoughts and let Jonathan start final thoughts. And again, I don't want to shorten anyone any time. And if someone needs to go, I know someone needs to go at 8. We'll get the show shut down and then we'll do some post-show conversation because there's some things that were mentioned that I'd like to kind of wrap up and get some things done in that area. So with that said, and Mr. Heckler, your mic is off. What is the next big thing for the Warriors Refuge?
So right now we're focusing on some of our big fundraisers. We got we have a small local fundraiser that we're fixing to do. We're gearing up for our gala, our annual fundraising gala that's coming up in November. It's amazing. We're definitely always looking for sponsors and people to purchase tables and be a part of that event, auction items, the whole thing. That's our big annual fundraiser that we do every year. But overall, organizationally, one of the things that we're focusing on pretty heavy right now is getting our building upgraded. Like I said earlier, it's an old building with old building problems, and we're coming to the light at the end of the tunnel. We still have a few things here that need to be done, and that comes with a pretty hefty price tag, of course. And also we're hoping to, within about the next year and a half, within the next year to, I'll say 12 to 24 months, the big goal is to look to to open a second rally point location in the Richmond-Rosenberg area in Fort Bend County, which puts us, that post you see right there, that was us at the Texas Motor Speedway. We went up there and hopefully we'll actually have a booth at the NASCAR race over there in May of next year. That's what that meeting was about, trying to get us in front of the wonderful NASCAR fans that are out there. But our goal, like I said, 12 to 24 months is to open our second Rally Point counseling office. Waiting on a couple of our grants to come around for renewal to kind of help get the lead on the funding on that. To extend our services more to the Richmond-Rosenberg. And I know you guys aren't from Texas, but Richmond-Rosenberg is right on the outskirts of Houston. It's on the southwest side of Houston. Huge population. I don't even know what the population is, but it's a huge population. A lot of veterans out there. The Houston Metroplex is a gigantic area. You know, Houston starts from Brazoria County, continues all the way up into Conroe and Huntsville and beyond. It's a huge area. So we're looking to extend that services out there in the next 12 to 24 months. But right now, in the immediate future, we're looking to just kind of get amp up our fundraising a little bit, and a lot of it actually, and gearing up for our gala coming up in, like I said, in July. We're fixing to launch a pretty cool fundraiser where we're putting ammo cans in our American Legion and VFW posts to collect like loose change. It's Operation Loose Change. And the goal is for those posts to help fill those change. Interesting fact of useless knowledge, if you didn't know, that you can fit between $500 and $600 in loose change in a 50 caliber ammo can, in case anybody was wondering. So if you're looking for some goal saving options, get you an ammo can. So that's a potential fundraiser that's going to do pretty well for us. And that's just like I was talking about earlier, to close that gap of our funding that's not grant funded. And, you know, because that's a big need for us right now to close some of those gaps and allow us to finish renovating our building. We got a couple new ACs, a couple ACs that we have big units on top of the roof that we have to replace, and finish upgrading some of our electrical systems. And a lot of the systems that are in this building have been original to this building. And so, or haven't been upgraded in 20, 30 plus years. No, we're just trying to get everything upgraded and make our building a nicer, better place for our veterans. So that's our direct focus, is hitting our fundraising goals. And then, and you actually saw on there when you first pulled up the Facebook page, the banner there is our Strength and Unity program. And that is just a pledge. It's our pledge campaign where people can sign up to give monthly, to give a monthly donation. And everything helps. You know, this we're a nonprofit, and like every other nonprofit in this country, we don't have a tree out back that just grows money. So we are dependent very heavily on definitely our grants for sure, but our community partners, our supporters that support our mission and come alongside. Because I could tell you, this organization would not be the success that it is today if it wasn't for amazing community partners that come alongside us and volunteer in our building to help with our maintenance, our land. I mean, we get volunteer groups that come in here from everything from playing guitar, leading bingo, to painting walls, to mowing. And it's just so amazing because our team of staff is one thing, but our overall team is so much bigger than just what's confined in the walls of this building. And we couldn't be anywhere where we are today without them. And because of them, we've been able to do quite a bit in our building and to make this place right. We want this place to be home. We want them to come through these doors and into these walls and find hope for a better future. And the way a building looks and the way it functions and the way it operates plays a big part in that. You know, not a lot of hope when the roof is leaking and the floors look like they just came out of an insane asylum off of a horror movie, or, you know. So we've been able to make it more homely and more welcoming and comforting and more hopeful for our veterans. And so that's our big push now. And then we're looking to, you know, how do we expand our services? One of my big long vision is I have my eyes set on the Austin area to hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years open a second residential facility in the Austin area. Austin is plagued horribly with homelessness. A lot of homeless veterans there. It's a hard place to live. A 3-bedroom mobile home in the Austin area is selling for almost $400,000. It's the economy there is extremely rough, and it's displaced a lot of people, and there's a lot of veterans that are caught up in that. And we just want to meet them where they are and serve them. So that's kind of our immediate, intermediate and long-term vision of where we are.
It's a lot of work. You know what you're up for. You know what's going to happen. You know it's going to get done. There are going to be. That is why we have built the concept of getting your mission out there. The more we get into the network, the more that we're going to be able to help. And we just appreciate all the work that you're doing, brother. You're a doer. Bottom line, there's doers and there's don't doers, and you're getting it done. So we appreciate that. Yeah, someone's got to do it. That's something that always rolls off my lips all the time. Someone's got to do it, and I think the fruit that is out there is plump. It's rich. It's great, but someone's got to go pick it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's going to rot on the vine. And I think we're there. I do think we're going to build something big and better and badder. Again, keep the network alive, keep growing the thing. Jonathan, you got to get out of here in a minute.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and we'll do, and Jeff, we'll end the show with your last song. So we'll do you last, and we'll do the build up and onto your last song. So, Jonathan, final thoughts, brother.
First, Jeff and Robert, it was great hearing the two of you speak so passionately about what you believe in tonight. And I believe that the mission that you're on, Robert, is something that I'd like to be a part of and keep track of and help out in any way possible. And I'm definitely going to have some Jeff Canada rolling through the playlist and on WeP3 Radio. But earlier, both of you guys were talking, I think during the first segment, and it was about improvement and growth and just, small steps. And I've been working on writing something, and just kind of like a brief synopsis of what I was writing. But basically 1% is the difference between a human's DNA and the DNA of a chimpanzee. So, when you're looking at the grand scheme of things and you're like, oh, I got to turn my life around, you really only got to change 1% of your life, and that's where you start at, right? So if there's 1,440 minutes in a day, and 1% of that is less than 15 minutes. So if you can take 15 minutes of your day and change what you're doing, or add 15 minutes of call it soul searching, like Robert said earlier, 15 minutes in the morning before everybody gets up, get some quiet time with whatever feeds your soul, and just let it in, man. Let it in. So 1% every day over the course of a year, that's 365%. That's a different person. So just start small.
That's right.
Stay small. It'll all work itself out in the end.
One bite at a time. Mr. Heckler, final thoughts, brother.
When we talk about taking ownership or taking, those little things, I would say we have to take ownership of our lives. We have to grab a hold of it. I learned a phrase recently from a title of a book, and then the title of the book is Extreme Ownership. I think it's like Jocko Willings or whatever. I haven't read the book. Yeah. But the title alone has so much power in that phrase, extreme ownership. We have to take ownership. We have to be accountable. We have to be able and allow ourselves to be held accountable. And we have to take ownership in every situation in our lives. And it's up to us. There's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of support. And there's a lot of people that come around us. There you go. And but the thing is that it has to start with that extreme ownership. You have to take a hold of your life and make decisions. You have to wake up every day and decide, I will win today. And let tomorrow worry about tomorrow. But today, wake up, make your bed, and win the day. And then tomorrow, we'll wake up and worry about tomorrow. And that's the key, you know, and I think that's the key to success is just winning the day, one day at a time, and taking ownership, being accountable, and just taking control. And that's the key. And that'll get you through every trial and tribulation, every hard time, every sad moment, every tear. That'll get you through it. Just take ownership of it, deal with it, and keep pressing forward.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. My final thoughts before we get to Mr. Canada is, first of all, come check us out next Sunday for We Got Your 6 at 6. We have the amazing Josh Moore with August Lowe's and Chris Salento with an organization, Raven Works Studios. Again, tomorrow at 4:30, the WP3 team comes back and we give you our WP3 weekly debrief and the stuff that we're working on specifically. Tonight's show was about Robert Heckler and the Warriors Refuge and Jeff Canada. And again, this is built a relationship that will take us further into our lives and further into the mission. And that's what I get excited about. I think we spend a lot of time spiraling and we go down rabbit holes and we make up stories. We take pieces of information from something and we do the what if. And then at the end of it, there's no validity to any part of what you're really dealing with because you what ifed it too many times. Everything that I see on the news, and I'll be honest, I've stopped doing the fact checking because I cannot spend that much time in a day seeing if that's true or not true. So literally when I hear things that are happening and I'm in the space of a human being, I'm like, I literally ask the question, did you see it happen? Because if you didn't see it happen, if you didn't hear it really happen, if you weren't in the presence of the event, I don't want to know about it because I don't need to know everyone else's offhanded perspective of something that didn't really exist in the first place. And that's the tough piece. It's a lesson I teach my students. You can have 4 people standing on the corner of an intersection and watch a car accident, and everyone will walk away with a different account of what happened in the middle of that road. And so I'm not saying people are wrong. I'm just saying your information doesn't help me. And we invest in a lot into information that doesn't help us. Help you help yourself. Bottom line, stop listening. If it's not involving your nose and your toes, maybe you need to invest in you a little bit more. And so, again, thank you for our amazing guests who came on tonight. Thank you for the WP3 team that worked so hard behind the scenes to get all this stuff out. Thank you for our listeners and viewers that come and watch us, A, on the show and B, on the podcast. Thank you. Go check out the YouTube and subscribe. Go check out WP3 Radio. Jeff Canada, what are your final thoughts, brother? And lead us into your last song.
Well, I mean, what you're talking about right now, what you guys have all just talked about just now is kind of what this song's about. I just got out of a pretty serious relationship of almost 4 years. And I used to be this way, but I'm no longer this way. I went to therapy in 2020 and 2019, 2020 and 2021. And, yesterday's dead and tomorrow hasn't been born yet. But you got a lot of folks out there that have put 90% of their mental bandwidth into those 2 days. And they're not living in today. And that's a lot of the problem that we have with our mental health is because of that reason right there. It's because we're worried about, like what I was talking about with AI and shit. It's like, I'm not really worried about it. Because that's like, I have a belief of what I think is going to happen, but I'm not really worried about it because I can't control it. There's nothing I can do about it. a buddy of mine was on my podcast recently, and he did it the perfect. He said, I treat life like driving through the fog. He said, I make sure my car has good tires. I make sure my windshield wipers are good. I make sure my headlights are good. I make sure I got gas. I make sure that I'm safe. And then I worry about the headlights that are right in front of me. I can't worry about the headlights I can't see yet. And that right there to me is the way, that's the key to it all. And so I wrote this song called Rain because the girl that I was with, she was that person. You know, she was constantly worried about her past catching up with her, and she was constantly worried about tomorrow, and she could never just be okay in the now. Where me, I'm kind of the opposite of that. I'm kind of like I have my opinions, but I'm kind of a laid back, whatever. It's going to work itself out. If I don't have enough money today, tomorrow I'll figure it out. But today I'm not going to stress about it too much. And so I wrote this song called Rain, and that is what that's what the message of this song is. I mean, yeah, it's about a relationship, but it's about someone who is kind of in the okay, living in today, being with someone that is so worried about their trauma and won't do anything to fix it. That's the biggest problem, is like when they won't do anything to get it under control, when you won't go to therapy, when you won't talk to somebody, when you won't try stuff to make your life better. And so when you have somebody that is in that area with someone that's not, and so the hook of it is he's sitting in the sunshine while she waits on the rain. Like that is the hook of the song. And if you're constantly just waiting on the rain, you're gonna have a miserable life. You can't just constantly wait on the next shoe to drop. You can't constantly wait on the next thing that's going to go wrong, because you thinking about that, you putting your effort and your energy into thinking about what might go wrong might be what makes it go wrong. And so that's kind of what this song's about.
This is Jeff Canada with Rain.
The song's called Rain. Puts on her makeup, draws on a fake smile. She even believes she's happy for a little while. But inside she's busted, she's broken and bruised. And she's worn holes in the sole of her heart's walking shoes. She's boarding up all the windows, he's buried his head in the sand. She's worried about what's to become, he don't really give a damn. She sits there waiting on pain. He's standing in the sunshine, she waits for the rain. He texted good morning while he's still in his bed. He wants her to know she's the first thing that pops in his head. He tried to be loving, patient and kind, but he can't compete with the chaos bouncing in her mind.